one night only. Kicking off the Schmoedown 2019 season with a bang. At 8:30 p.m. is Alex Marzona.
Didn't take much to entice me. You might not, but I think I see so much in you. So much left to. Don't be shy. I promise I am not as crazy as I seem.
At 9 p.m., The River of Paradise, a tribute to Meatloaf and Billy Joel.
Treasure till you spend a lot of money.
Oh, preacher child.
And closing the night off at 11 p.m., the Urban Gladiator, Jay Washington.
And it's only two things you can do about it. Nothing and deal with it. Damn it. See you soon.
The Schmoedown New York City Fan Meetup, live at Sidewalk Cafe in New York City, January the 24th. Be there. $5 suggested donation for each act with a 2 food and drink minimum.
With that being said, let's get ready to Schmoedown! Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Schmoedown Rundown. Introducing first, Frankie Steph Janisch, and the host of the Schmoedown Rundown, Brad Gilmore.
What's up, Movie Trivia Schmoedown fans? Welcome to the Schmoedown Rundown, the official after show for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown. My name is Brad Gilmore. I will be your host for the foreseeable future until the powers that be change their mind. I am joined by always my co-host, Frank Janisch, Frank Jinga Janisch, over there in Chi-Town. Frank, how are you?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited for this weekend, or I guess if you're watching, listening to this, it's probably already happened in real time, the Schmoedown Awards. But earlier this week, I had a busy week. I did, I don't know, maybe you caught on my Instagram or Twitter. I covered the part of the inauguration for the Illinois legislator and stuff.
I saw that.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. It was the Latino
How did
caucus.
you get that?
I just, you put the work in and it comes to you. That's all.
They knew you were Jinga.
Yeah. But it was really cool to be there and to see all that go down. It was a lot of fun. It was a long day, but really cool.
I've had a hellacious start to 2019. I've been hitting the ground running. Just left the recording studio not too long ago. Got some new music coming out, so I'm excited.
Oh.
But I say we're going to talk about the Movie Trivia Schmoedown Awards, of course. Shout out to all the Patreons. Shout out to the patrons out there on Patreon. Shout out to the YouTube viewership. I see numbers are through the roof. That's because we're on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown YouTube channel, formerly known as Schmoes Know. Huh?
And because our roof is so low.
Oh, shut the hell up, Frank Janet. One of my favorite rap lines is he said, "Stacking money, homie, trying to make the ceiling break." It's pretty good. That's pretty good. I like it. Anyway, numbers are through the roof. Shout out to Christian Harloff. Shout out to Chris Clark. Shout out to Brianne Chandler, who joined us last week for our top 5, top 10 list. We're going to be bringing that back next week, but we thought it would be apropos. That's why we're dressed up. I know normally you see me looking presentable, unlike Frank Janisch, but that's why we are dressed up today.
I'm not even wearing pants. So
you know what? How did you know I'm not doing that either? That's really weird. I don't know. My shirt's not tucked in, no pants. I'm just rocking it like this. But I wanted to talk about something that's somewhat Movie Trivia Schmoedown related. It's closely related. You know how sometimes in movies they have like a spirit sequel? A spiritual sequel. It's not really a sequel, but it kind of is, like 10 Cloverfield Lane or something like that.
Oh, sure. It's like,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the right word for it, but that's the word I give it. I have something that's closely related to the Movie Trivia Schmoedown because it involved many competitors telling me how much of an idiot that I am. And that's why I'm going to bring this up. Currently, I have about 140 replies to one tweet, which is somewhat of a record. I think the only time I've ever had that many replies is when the Hove himself, Jay-Z, tweeted me back when Magna Carta days. I was on Netflix last night, and I noticed they uploaded all the Indiana Jones movies on Netflix. So I was like, oh, all in. I just heard Clark Wolf and Christian Harloff on Sending the Wolf. They talked about Raiders of the Lost Ark. That helped me kill an hour of time in traffic. I really enjoyed the show. And I was like, you know what? They were talking about Raiders. I've seen Raiders a million times. I've seen Last Crusade a million times. I want to watch Crystal Skull, and then I want to watch Temple of Doom. Boom. Crystal Skull, first indie film. I think I've said it on this show before. It was the first indie film I saw in theaters. Obviously, I'm younger than most people. And then I went and watched Temple of Doom, and I said, you know, I had a little bit more fun with Crystal Skull than I did Temple of Doom. I actually got about 3/4 of the way through Temple of Doom, and I was like, I started wandering. My mind started wandering. I was like, what am I got to do tomorrow? I got to get an oil change. Let me call
Wait, did you watch them back to back?
No, I watched one night, the other night.
Okay, that's an important detail.
Well,
I wasn't fatigued out. Okay. Oh, we're going to get to it, Chris. Hold on, because I want you to weigh in on it. So I get 75% of the way through. Like I said, I'm thinking about getting new tires. I'm going to call and get a quote tomorrow. I was just kind of bored with the movie, so I just tweeted out, pulled out the old iPhone, and I said, Crystal Skull is more enjoyable than Temple. That's all I said. Put the phone down. Finish the rest of Temple of Doom.
Oh, you were looking for reactions. It's not like
I
you
really
just
wasn't.
haphazardly put it out there.
I was.
Oh, no, you were looking for a response. Come on.
I decided I'm going to start tweeting my
You
real
baited everyone.
observations. I started tweeting my real observations. That was a real observation for me. Like I tweeted this morning, the 2020 Experience by Justin Timberlake, that's a top 10 album of the decade.
It actually is pretty good.
Oh, it's a phenomenal album. I was listening to it this morning. So anyway, I put this out. I wake up this morning. I go to my local donut shop to get me a donut and a kolache to start my day off. I'm sitting there in my truck, which I call Elvis, the king of the road. And I was sitting there, and I would look through my tweets. I saw Lon the Yips Harris. I saw William the Beast Bibiani, Mike Kalinowski, John the Outlaw Roca, and a myriad of other followers tweeting their absolute disgust at me for even uttering the words, Crystal Skull is better than anything. So I took a couple on the chin, and then some people were agreeing with me, and I appreciate those people. Shout out to those people. You have great taste, such as I. And then I was like, I wonder what the Rotten Tomatoes score is for Crystal Skull. I've never looked this up before. Crystal Skull, 78% certified fresh. I believe Temple of Doom's like 82% or 83%.
You should find that out.
Certified fresh. So I was like, okay, I'm not far off on this. And a lot of people said it was more enjoyable, and I stand behind it. There's a lot of just boringness in Temple of Doom. A lot of bug eating, Willie screaming, a lot of, I think, racial stereotyping. I think there's a lot of problems in Temple of Doom.
Yeah, that's true.
There's a lot of problems in Temple of Doom.
Temple of Doom's 85%.
Is it 85?
Right.
I was close. 83.
Yeah,
85.
audience score 81%.
Now Crystal Skull audience score is not that good. But anyway, I just wanted to say out there, I enjoy Crystal Skull more than Temple of Doom. I go Raiders, Last Crusade, Crystal Skull, Temple of Doom. I don't think I'm so wrong in this, Frank, because I know we've talked about it. You kind of like Crystal Skull.
No. Well, it's yes and no. It's not as bad as I recall seeing it for like the first time I saw it, or even the second time. But after some time has passed, and I went back and watched it recently, like back half of last year, I was like, it's actually not as bad as I remember, but I still prefer Temple over Crystal Skull is the worst one of them all, but not even worse. The one that I like the least. Let me put it that way. Yeah, I would go Raiders, Crusade, Temple, Crystal.
I think I can switch between Raiders and Last Crusade at any time, though. And I think everybody is okay with those.
Yeah, there are days where I'm like, wow, I'm really digging this, but you know what? Also want to say real quick, when I saw your tweet, because I did see it, you know what I did?
What?
Just kept scrolling. I was like, forget this.
You didn't engage.
No.
You didn't engage. Now, Chris, you said you agree with me.
I actually agree with you a lot. I love Crystal Skull. Crystal Skull, actually, I like a lot of the plot twists. I like the alien thing at the end. I'm one of those people that actually prefer the Phantom Menace over Empire Strikes Back. I really... that's
now you
one
look stupid.
All right, come on.
But
Brad, look what you've done.
Yeah, Chris, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
you can't go there.
That's another can of worms.
I hope that's a generational thing. Jesus.
No, I mean, I find it more enjoyable. I find it more enjoyable. But yeah, Crystal Skull actually is much more enjoyable, not just because of the uniqueness aspect of like all the twists and stuff, but with Temple of Doom, Willie screaming really ruins that movie. Screaming over and over and over again, all the screaming.
Obsessive.
Yeah, it kind of grades on you, so that's why I don't really like Temple too much, sadly.
But I love the Anything Goes intro.
I do. I do
yes,
love the
that's
intro.
great.
Everything in the
Obi-Wan.
restaurant, beautiful, beautiful. You know, Club Obi-Wan. I love it. Okay, let's move on because I know Christian's
because we've
listening to this
alienated
now.
like 75% of the audience. Now.
I know Christian's like, talk about the awards. So let's talk about the awards. The Movie Trivia Schmoedown Awards actually go down today when this airs, and Frank Janisch will be in attendance, and we are nominated. And we'll get to that when we get to that. But let's talk about. We're going to go category by category. I believe there's 19 categories. We're going to talk about each of them, and we'll go around and see who we think is going to win. Okay, you ready to do this, Frank?
Sure.
All right,
Let's do it.
First off, according to TriviaSD.com, the first category we're going to cover is Best Entrance for singles. Excuse me. You have William the Beast Bibiani and Jeff Snyder, the Clue entrance. Mark Andreyko, William Bibiani, the Mystery Science Theater 3000. So these are really William Bibiani. Breanne Chandler for Free for All 2, Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Andrew Guy at Free for All 2 as Dan Murrell, which we talked about last week. We're going to get into it. And Janine the Machine versus Ben Bateman for Misty Knight. We covered some of these last week. The one that's on here that I am very excited about is Andrew Guy at Free for All 2 as Dan Murrell. As I explained to you, Frank Janisch and Breanne and Chris, last week, it's not always about the prop and the costume and the music and the this and the that. Sometimes the best entrance is just the moment. You know, Stone Cold Steve Austin had one of the best entrances in wrestling history. You know what he did? He walked to the ring. That's all he did. He walked to the ring and he stood up in the corner. But it was one of the best entrances ever in the history of professional wrestling. So sometimes it's not always about the Mystery Science Theater of it all. It's not about the clue. It's not about the costume. Sometimes it's about the moment and the impact. Andrew Guy, for me, should win this category. I'm going to go to Frank next.
Yeah, this is between Clue and Mystery Science Theater 3000 for me. Even though I think we talked about it last week. The Misty Knight entrance with Janine was really cool. Breanne had that on her list. I'm really partial to this Clue one, even though Mystery Science Theater 3000 entrance was something like we've never seen before because it took place really outside of the stage, the desk area. Where they play. Clue, yeah, why not? Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Well, I do want to say that we're on TriviaSD.com, and Tim Sim was a contributor who wrote this post yesterday, and or 2 days ago, whenever you're hearing this, 3 days ago. I don't know what day it is. But he said, who will win? William Bibiani and for Mystery Science Theater 3000. What should win? William Bibiani for Clue. I know Chris Clark is jumping for joy at that one. Out of those two, Chris, which one are you going with?
Easily, it's going to be Mystery Science Theater 3000. I have to say, I think I said this last week because that was my number one favorite. But with the thing that brings the Clue thing down is that the last portion of it, with the Breanne coming out, giving him the belt win, her mic cut out and the sound, you couldn't hear what she was saying. So yeah, that it was just the technicality.
Okay, had that not happened, Chris, what are you doing? Let's just say everything went smoothly.
I still
because I'm not letting you off the hook on a technicality here.
Okay. I was trying to BS my way through that, but
yeah, I can tell.
Yeah, it's hard because I do like how creative the Clue entrance was, but I would still go with Mystery Science Theater.
Yeah.
I like.
All right. Well,
I think it's a little more innovative. That's why.
Yeah, I like the innovation
more
of the
innovative.
effect. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It is more innovative. Okay, now we're going to move on. Best entrance for teams. You have critically acclaimed in MODOK, the Bill and Ted entrants, which we talked about last week. Self-Righteous Brothers and Take the Cannoli for Hellraiser and Logan. The Shirewolves versus Sick in the Head. That's the Thor Ragnarok for the Shirewolves. Shirewolves versus Who's the Boss? Girls Run the World, my favorite entrance. And Wait, I Know This versus the Founding Fathers for the Jurassic Park entrance. That was a really good one, too. That Jurassic Park, Wait, I Know This is
really great.
Oh, I don't know. It's going to be between that and Girls Run the World. Tim Sim, I'm going to say off top, he said, who will win the Girls Run the World entrance by the Shirewolves? What should win the Girls Run the World entrance by the Shirewolves? So he's agreeing with himself twice there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Tim Sim, who I believe is from Houston.
He is, yeah. I think he's truly from Houston.
You're looking to get your ass kicked on that one. Anyway, I might have the reach advantage on you. So what do you think, Frank? Who do you think is going to win? I think Girls Run the World should win this one.
Yeah.
Or, I don't know. That Jurassic Park one is so good, though. It's difficult.
Which one are you taking?
I'm going to go Girls Run the World. I'm going to go Girls Run the World.
I didn't have Girls Run the World on my top 5 list last week.
You didn't, because you're a crazy person.
I am very crazy. And it's not because I don't think it's good. I certainly think it's probably the most important entrance the Schmoedown has ever had, because it really displayed just the presence of women in the league, and it speaks to a larger topic in that sense. But I just loved the Thor entrance from Shirewolves. So that's on this list, off of this list. I'm gonna go with the Thor Ragnarok one. Yeah,
Chris, who you got? Is Girls Run the World the number one?
I mean, it was my second favorite match entrance for teams during the countdown last week, and it's objectively some empowering shit, as I said. It's the Girls Run the World. The Girls Run the World is objectively, I think, the best moment for the women in the league in the actual Schmoedown this year, and I think it was very empowering, and it stood the test of time, and it will continue to.
Yeah. I think that if that doesn't win, travesty of justice.
I don't know. It's travesty.
It's a travesty of justice. It's like a Star is Born being swept at the Golden Globes. It's a travesty. Let's go to INNERGEEKDOM / Star Wars Player of the Year. Nominees are Rachel Cushing, Alex Damon, Mark Donica, Jason Inman, and Mike Kalinowski. Oh, man. Who will win? Mike Kalinowski. Who should win? Alex Damon. This is according to Tim Sim. I think this is a really pick 'em here. Donica, I like Donica. Didn't win the title, so I'm going to have to nix him off the list. Jason Inman, that's another good one. Mike Kalinowski, Rachel Cushing, Alex Damon. I'm going to give this one to Alex Damon because he was the most impressive. He didn't play that much this year, but he was the most impressive. He, undefeated.
Unfortunately for Alex Damon, the league isn't that deep, and he deserves to be on this list, that's for sure, because of how dominant he is. He plays twice, but you look at Mike Kalinowski, he played 5 times this year, and tournament win, and then claiming the belt at Spectacular. His stats were through the roof. They're almost actually pretty comparable, his season stats this season, to Alex Damon's stats. So that says a lot, because that's spread across more than just one subject. Whereas Kalinowski, again, it's through like 10 other subjects, right? So clearly I'm going Mike Kalinowski. His stats were through the roof, and it was really impressive what he did. Despite a loss at the tournament, but he avenged that loss, and now he's the current champ. So there you go.
Yeah, that's why, if he wins, I'm not mad at it. I just think that Alex Damon should get a little bit more love for the work that he put in. Chris,
I agree, but he's kind of a victim of the circumstance that he's in, unfortunately.
He is for sure. I just think that I love that guy, and I think that he is so impressive at his knowledge.
For sure.
He's just beyond. Chris, do you think it's Mike Kalinowski? Does he lock this one up?
Well, he doesn't necessarily lock it up. I think he will win because, he had the entire story of this season was surrounded by Mike, and there was an entire tournament surrounded by his story called Corruption, and that was all in the INNERGEEKDOM stuff, and he was the center and focal point of that. He has this hands down. But Alex's stats are ridiculous. His accuracy is ridiculous, even though it's only for about 10 films in the Star Wars franchise. Alex still has a lot to hold his hat on, but Mike pretty much has, unless Alex had like a story built around him, like the Anarchy tournament was Alex's tournament instead of Mike Kalinowski's tournament, maybe Alex would stand a chance, but Mike Kalinowski was the main villain of the entire season, and I think this is probably the only place where Mike probably will win. Might be heel of the year, but I think for Inner Geekdom, Mike has this locked.
Okay, I like that. You make a great case. Mike Kalinowski will probably walk away with this award. Frank, why is Chris better at convincing me than you? I don't understand.
Because you like him better than me, that's why.
That's true, actually. That's very true. Upset, even though he doesn't thank me for gifts. Upset of the year. This is a lot to get through, so bear with me as I take a deep breath. Mark Andreyko versus Ethan Irwin. Ben Bateman versus Lon Harris. Emma Fife wins the Commissioner Bowl. Andrew Guy versus Mark Riley. The Harris Brothers versus Take the Cannoli. Adam Lavick versus Hector Navarro. Mark Hanopic versus Rachel Cushing. Corruption versus the Founding Fathers. Dan Murrell versus Andrew Guy. And World's Finest versus Team Trek. There is only one correct answer here, and anybody who says anything differently is absolutely fooling themselves. Dan Murrell versus Andrew Guy. Should win, will win. My man Tim Sims says Mark Hanopic versus Rachel Cushing should win. Could not disagree more. Dan Murrell versus Andrew Guy. That's the winner.
You know what? There is some merit to that argument. The Mark Hanopic over Rachel.
Match.
Because
match. I wouldn't say
because
upset.
Rachel had well, I guess it's an upset because Mara was a rookie and this is only her third match. Okay. So I can see that, and it's, you know, it went down to the wire, and Rachel was heavily favored because of given her history in the league, so I understand that. And Mara, her numbers weren't even anywhere near Rachel's given, you know, her limited time in the Schmoedown. So I can see where he's coming in with that, and it's not completely bonkers, but yes, everyone knows it's the upset of the entire history of the Schmoedown. It's Dan Murrell, Andrew Guy. They basically just listed all the other upsets just for fun, basically, when they made this list.
For sure. So we can just move on to the next one. The next one, here we go. Podcast / after show of the year. The nominees are Dedicated to the Art, Late to the Party, Schmoedown Central, Schmoedown Rundown, and Take 3 Productions.
Choose wisely, Chris.
My man Tim Sim says who will win the Schmoedown Rundown.
What did he say? Who will? What did he say?
Who should win? Tim Sim says Schmoedown Central.
Interesting.
I gotta say, my man Tim Sim. You know, we're both from Texas.
I guess I'm big brass ones on this guy.
We're both from Houston. You know, I mean, I dig you, man. We both like the Schmoedown. What does it say here? I'm gonna read this little piece here that he wrote on TriviaSD.com. There are certainly some worthy nominees with people that I have the pleasure of knowing. I also had the honor of being a special guest on both the Schmoedown Rundown and Take 3 Productions. The winner will be the Schmoedown Rundown, thanks to the great hosting by both my fellow Houstonian Brad Gilmore, thank you there, Tim Sim, and Chicago's finest, that's up for debate, Frank Janisch, as well as Chris Clark with his brilliant producing for each episode since the start of Season 5. Yes, I agree with that. Who should win is the Schmoedown Central by Brad Thomas, another Brad who's not as good looking as I. His work in just his first year is just amazing, with simple breakdowns of the matches, simple previews, and excellent production of his videos. It provides the best outside of the matches content that I have seen for the Movie Trivia Schmoedown, despite low viewer counts, which that should be calculated. I recommend everyone.
I can't believe you.
I recommend everyone go check out the show because Brad Thomas is amazing at what he does with Schmoedown Central. I look forward to more of them next season. I have checked out Young Thomas's, the other Brad number 2's videos. They are very well done. Shout out to Brad Thomas. Although my man Tim Sim, we got some beef. No, I'm just joking. You know, who should win, who will win, that's up for the viewers, that's up for the listeners, that's up for the fans. It's not up for Frank Janisch or I or Chris Clark. I appreciate him saying that we will win. Who knows if we will. Take 3, Late to the Party, Dedicated to the Art, all great shows, including Schmoedown Central. So this is a pick-em category, Frank Janisch. And who are you picking?
It's tough because
it's tough because we do such great work. You know, I mean,
Well, I think we. I mean, objectively, I think we do.
objectively, I think we do very well.
I don't pay that much attention to the other shows. I tune in from time to time, but it's not something that I watch from week to week to week.
Yeah.
Because there are a lot, and like there's a few more that are on this list that are out there. There's like Call to Action. There's another one that just started by. So it wouldn't be eligible, but it just started. Josh Rayner, I think is his name. Talking Schmoedown. It's kind of like a solo deal from what I've heard. And then there's also Schmoedown All Access. There's another one out there.
And
so
there's Maniacs guys.
Yeah.
Those guys are cool too.
Late to the party. They weren't really there for the whole year, and they explained why, and I think in a post somewhere or in a comment. And they're more of like pure reaction. There's some discussion there. Dedicated Art. Those guys, Case and Chris Doman. So they're Christian pointed out, they're kind of like the OGs of like this reaction fandom and stuff that started along with Take 3. So their insight is always interesting to watch and listen to. Schmoedown Central, though, that one is a more sports center style centric kind of show, which is really the one that's completely different from everybody else. So I can understand. I get where Tim Sims coming from. So I'm going to leave it at that.
Okay, Chris, I would ask you, but I don't want to hear it because you're biased. You're too biased, Chris Clark.
I'm nominated twice.
He's going to probably pick William Bibbiani for all we know.
I know he's a double nominee. He's going to say, yeah, right. Yeah, he should pick William Bibbiani.
I was going to say though that I want to give a lot of commend Brad Thomas a lot because I think Brad is fantastic at what he does on Schmoedown Central.
He's very
his
good.
content, unlike everything else, which is like maybe hour, 2 hour tops, like the summits on Take 3, our show sometimes exceeds an hour and a half, 2 hours. His shows are regularly like 8-9 minutes tops.
Yeah,
They're digestible content.
Take 3, look, these guys, the production is so great. They're like a family to me. I'm not really as involved as I used to, but you know what? They still put out amazing content and they are super consistent.
And I think also Tim's article here is so well written. He's a great writer for the website. And I just want to thank Tim on air for his kind words to all of us. So this is it's an honor to be nominated with all of these guys.
I need to say one more thing about Schmoedown Central, though. I think his show will be much more, in a sense, valuable when the Schmoedown really is a much more live event. Because his is really quick breakdowns, whereas if you miss the live event, it's kind of like how ESPN covers real actual sporting events. Mm-hmm. So I think in that sense, his format can really benefit from the Schmoedown doing a lot more live events. Because let's say you're someone who didn't buy the live event streaming package or what have you, you can go on to Brad Thomas's, and you don't have to go through someone else's recap that's an hour, 2 hours long, whatever it may be, and not knowing all the other details. But Schmoedown Central, Brad Thomas over there, he breaks it down really quick, like you said, Chris, 8-10 minutes, and it'll give you the most important points if you don't want to spend the time. So I think, next year or this coming year, we'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah,
it is very unique. A shout out to Brad Thomas. We should have him on the show. Let's have him on the show. Can we have him on the show?
Love him on the show.
You can do it.
Manager of the Year, Finn Stock, Emma Fife, Ken Knapsack, Roxy Stryer, or Jay Washington. I think everybody on the list is deserving. If Roxy Stryer could win for her work on Collider Live, I think she should win. But if we're excluding that, I don't know how you don't give it to Emma Fife. I mean, championship wins.
I know Chris has another.
I know Chris has a great take, and I agree with his take. But just Emma, what she did this season was just so good. I mean, she won the championship. She won the Commissioner Bowl. Who knows? Now the fact that she's a commissioner, is this her last year as a manager? This might be her last year she's eligible.
Why not do both? Why not?
You can do both? Is that not like, crapping where
it depends how they set up the commissionerships, I suppose.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see how that plays out in season 6. Mm-hmm. We'll see how that plays out in season 6. But Chris, why don't you go ahead and give your take? Because Frank and I both agree that Emma Fife should be the winner, but you have a great take.
Oh, well, I think if you watched last week's episode, I think my moment of the year was Jay Washington's promo for Janine when he came and did her promo, risking basically his life. He even said he walked straight from the hospital to the studio to do the promo, was sick as a fiddle, and he still did it. That's true perseverance, and no other manager has ever demonstrated that amount of physical loyalty to their health as much as Jay has. And in that moment alone, I would say he should win. I think he should win, but who will win is going to be Emma, because throughout the entire season, like, the stats are there. What she's accomplished is there. It's objectively Emma, but in my heart, I feel like Jay deserves it just because of that one moment. But realistically speaking, Emma does deserve the win just because of all that she's accomplished this year. So if there could be 2 award winners, I wish both of them could, but that's not possible.
That is true. They cannot be co-award winners. Let's move on to Babyface Team of the Year. I think this is another easy one. Above the line, the Founding Fathers, the Shire Wolves, Tate the Cannoli, and the Wild Berries. Who will win? Tim Sims says the Shire Wolves. Who should win? The Shire Wolves. I say who should win? The Wild Berries.
You're damn right, Brad.
Who
you
will
are
win?
damn
the
right.
Shire Wolves. The Shire Wolves will win, but who should win? The Wild Berries.
It's got to be the Wild Berries, to tell you the truth. I love the Shire Wolves, but it's got to be the Wild Berries. I voted for the Wild Berries. They better win. The Wild Berry Nation better come out strong.
Berry Nation, brother.
Because I want to see them up on that damn stage. And do not miss this opportunity, Schmoedown fans, to put them on the stage at the Comedy Store. Don't do it.
Oh,
and
man.
because they're great. They're great.
Can I have like a T-shirt that has, Josh McCouga on the front of it, like with the Hulk Hogan bandana and the Fu Manchu, and he has like a talking bubble that just says Wild Berries, brother. Oh my gosh, I want that shirt. Somebody design that, like a cartoon illustration of him. Can we make that happen? And then on the back, it's just Elliot Dewberry holding a flask and a 40, with a strawberry on his as a head. I don't know. That's off the top of my head. All right, yeah, I think Wild Berries should win, or should win that one. Shire Wolves will win. Chris Clark, what do you say?
I actually agree that the Shire Wolves objectively should win, but I will say this, that a team did get kind of snubbed from this category. They went undefeated. They went undefeated, and they KO'd every single team that they faced this year until they were split up. It was critically acclaimed. I feel like critically acclaimed should have been nominated. I mean, from that stance alone, they went undefeated. Something that no other person.
But were
on
they the
this
most
list...
likable team of the year? That's what Babyface Team of the Year is.
Wait,
to me.
what are you
Who's
talking
the most
about?
likable?
No one else went undefeated. The Shire Wolves are 5-0.
Oh yeah,
And they're the
never
champs.
mind.
What the
And
hell
it's
are you talking
Babyface
about?
Team of the Year, not Team of the Year.
Right.
Yeah.
It's
Oh, yeah.
Babyface Team of the Year. What team do
I see.
I don't know if they were the most likable.
I
team
don't.
of the year.
Yeah, because there's a little condescension in their stuff, but
No, but either way, the Shire Wolves deserve to win regardless. Yeah.
Yeah, I listened to Critically Acclaimed. They did a Vice review, and I didn't agree with it. Let's move on. Heel Team of the Year. You have the Harris Brothers, the Kingsmen, Corruption, the Patriots, and Team Action. Who will win, Tim Sims says, is the Corruption. Who should win Corruption? I think that it's got to be between Team Action and Team Action for me.
the Harris Brothers could sneak in there because a lot of people
They
really
were more
did take to them.
smarmy than they were heely.
Yes, but nonetheless, they're in this list. So
They're on the list.
the
They're not
possibility,
in the
yes.
list.
Well, okay, fine. Semantics. They could pull it out.
I don't know her.
I would. I think they are the. I think they are the dark horse in this category. But I'm torn between Corruption and Team Action. This one's. I'm gonna have to lead Team Action because I think they rely so much on the outcome of their matches and whether their heelness gets played up in certain aspects. Corruption kind of had a running thing going for them no matter what, win or lose. So I think it's a little bit more difficult to play heel when you're dependent on staying at such a high level regarding your game. Whereas Corruption, they always had things to fall back on because they could always blame it on the game. That was their angle. So I think we're going to go Team Action as heel Team of the Year. Okay. And that's just my criteria. So,
Chris Clark.
I actually would say team action, just not for the fact that I think that they deserve it over corruption. I want to see that acceptance speech.
There you go.
Yes.
Yeah, that'd be a doozy.
It'd be awkward.
That's why I want to see team action. I mean, you have a lot of good heels this year, but I mean, none have matched team action and their fan base and what they achieved this year, and the fact that this is probably the last year we're going to see them together. So,
hey, well, you know what's better than the breakup, Chris Clark? The makeup. Let's go to Babyface of the Year.
Wait, who'd you take on that, Brad?
Huh?
Who'd you take as the heel team?
I take Team Action for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, Team Action for sure. Babyface of the Year: Rachel Cushing, Sam Levine, Mark Riley, John Roca, Clark Wolf. Tim Sims says, who will win Clark Wolf? Who should win John Roca? John Roca, to me, is disqualified from being a babyface based off a couple of his promos from this year. I don't think are very
almost like all his promos.
like everything he's ever said. So to me, when I look at the list, Riley's always very babyface-ish, but he had a heel tinge to him with Who's the Boss. Not all, but it was like a thin veil of heelness.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at it, Sam Levine, Rachel Cushing, Clark Wolf. I don't know if Sam Levine's a babyface. I think he's somewhat of a babyface, but not like I don't think he's a full-on babyface because he's too good to be a full-on babyface, and I think he knows he's good. Is that unfair to say?
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you.
Rachel. So to me, it's between Rachel Cushing, Clark Wolf. Clark Wolf is fiery. I love her passion, but that passion could also lead to non-babyfacey moments, right? Yeah. So I think this is a clear-cut winner for Rachel Cushing.
I would agree with you as well, Brad. That's how I went, and for basically like the reasons you just laid out, that's how I saw it. And like the thing though with Roca and Levine, and to an extent Riley, they're like in such this weird sweet spot of
tweener.
Yeah, they're definitely, and so we don't have a category for that. So I mean, favorite personality of the year, I don't know. That would encompass babyface and heel. Maybe that's something to do next year. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. Chris?
I actually think it's going to be Rachel, but I think it's hilarious that John Roca is nominated. I think that somebody should make a video of
last year he was on for both.
Yeah.
Like use heel and face.
But
so,
just have a video where it says Babyface of the Year underneath, and just have the clip from the live show with Bibbs and Roca fighting. Yeah. That is not Babyface.
Disqualification.
Yeah, that alone, yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, objectively, it's Rachel. It's easy.
Now here's something Chris Clark will like. I think Bibiani should be on this list. I found him to be extremely likable.
You know what? That's true.
As the champ. Like I thought this was like I felt so good when he won the title. I was like, oh man, I love this guy. What a sweet human being. I'm surprised he's not on here. And then like the John Roca promos made him more likable.
I would take Roca.
Yeah, Roca off, put Bibbs on for sure.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah.
Okay, let's move to heel of the year because I think this is another easy one. Ben Bateman, Finn Stock, Lon Harris, Mike Kalinowski, Andrew Guy. I think everyone on this list is worthy. Lon Harris, start off of the season, handing out syllabi to the fans and the crowd. All the things that he said, his sarcastic remarks and whatnot. I think that he was very hateable. Ben Bateman was hateable. Finn Stock was hateable, but you kind of loved him because he was so hateable. Mike Kalinowski, very manipulative. I can see he even manipulated how I said the word. Mike Kalinowski, definitely runner-up, but Andrew Guy. Roxy Stryer said on Collider Live, the best heel she's ever seen, and I couldn't agree more. And Andrew Guy, to me, even coming from a wrestling company, I think if Andrew Guy were in Reality of Wrestling, he'd be the top 2 heel in Reality of Wrestling. That's how good this guy is. He actually it gave me a good idea, but he is very good. He just understands it so well. It's just a duck to water. And when you meet him in person, you don't really get the heel vibe, but to be that good of a heel, he has to have a little bit of that inside of him. He's got to have a little bit in there to be that good, or he's just a phenomenal actor, or maybe a combination of both. But I know from my experience in wrestling, when somebody's a really good heel, a lot of the times I cannot stand them. So in real life, So Andrew Guy though is one, I've only gotten to meet him twice. Obviously he's been on the show. Lovely human being, but he is the heel of the year.
You know what? It's obviously Andrew Guy, and I would love for if Andrew Guy got suspended in the Schmoedown, I would love for him to take a trip to reality wrestling and go to and just that's what he's doing in his off time. Great. We just gave him more free time to become an even better tackler, I guess. Whatever.
Yes, he's a great tackler. That's the word for it.
He certainly has redefined what it is to be a heel in this league, and
he's redefined the league.
I mean, yeah, in a sense. I mean, he completely reshaped the trajectory of the league by defeating Dan Murrell, just as Christian. Yes. So, it's with that. I don't know how Andrew Guy does not win this award next year, unless he's not as present
active
in the league. Yeah, active, that's the word. But that's the only way he can lose this award. So he's definitely gonna win this one.
Chris, what do you got?
It's easily Andrew Guy. I mean, Mike Kalinowski had a whole, as I was talking about, his whole storyline behind him. But a lot of that was kind of predetermined about what was going to happen because that was all written. A lot of what Andrew did was on the spot and improv, even though that kind of probably Christian gave him a little outline of what to do. Mm-hmm. Andrew Guy fully embodied that character, and he's the one that got into each player's head that he defeated or KO'd or whatnot. So I feel like just Andrew, his personality and everything, yeah, as you guys were saying, he has that fan base for a reason. And it'll be interesting to see where he's headed to this year.
GOAT action from Andrew Guy. Very GOAT tendencies. New team of the year. This is another easy one. The Harris Brothers, Corruption, Scream Queens, the Shire Wolves. Who's the boss? The Shire Wolves.
Shire Wolves.
Yeah. Chris?
Easy. Shire Wolves.
All right, let's move on to Rookie of the Year. I think this is another easy one, though, guys. Mark Donica, Chance Ellison, Janine the Machine, Eric Zipper, Ethan Irwin. Everybody was qualified in the list until you got to the last name, Ethan Irwin. Had one loss, but won the Ultimate Schmoedown tournament, won the title. Am I missing anything?
No, I mean, and you know what? I got to say, I want to see more of Eric Zipper. I want to see what he can do.
You mean singles and not INNERGEEKDOM, or
just in general? Because I think he can be a nuisance for sure in all three leagues. But Janine had a great year as well. But Chance, it's hard to say. But I mean, because a lot of it was the team side of things. Had he beaten Ethan Irwin, holy shit! I mean, then that would have derailed Ethan Irwin as kind of Rookie of the Year, almost. I don't know, depends. It's weird, but Ethan Irwin by a landslide. It's the most dominant thing we've ever seen in a single season for a single league, and that's undisputable.
Chris Clark.
And on top of what Ethan has done, I pick Ethan too. He lasted 15 rounds at free-for-all, which is a huge endurance. So I think on top of all of his accomplishments, the length of time that he lasted at free-for-all by itself, he deserves to be Rookie of the Year. So yeah,
Ethan we're getting into Ethan for sure. Now we're getting into some of the categories that I feel are just somewhat no-brainers. Comeback Player of the Year. Mark Andreyko, Mike Kalinowski, Dan Murrell, Clark Wolf, William Bibiani. It's William Bibiani. He won the championship after having that ungodly streak of bad luck in the third round or the final round. He worked his way back, had a phenomenal showing at the free-for-all, and then he ended up winning the championship against Mark Andreyko, on a Ready to Rumble question. So, William Bibiani should win this one, Frank.
Yeah, this is. I mean, if you really think about this list, if you really think about it, Clark Wolf could also very well be Comeback Player of the Year.
I think she's runner-up.
Yes, and I really spent some time on whether or not it was Clark or Bibbs. It's because Clark's history in the singles tournament last year, ousted by Brienne. This year, she got all the way to the final. Her team run last year was pretty deep, even though they ended up losing to all the belts. This year, she wins the title and defends the title. So you take a look at those comparisons there. I mean, she definitely got past her last year's marks and exceeded them and by a ton. William Bibiani, his team run, you have to remember, you have to take into account critically acclaimed, was on a great course. But then you got to throw in the free-for-all event. And I think that's the tiebreaker for me. Had it not been for his free-for-all performance, I probably would have given it to Clark. But I'm going William Bibiani, yeah.
Chris, should I ask you if you agree with Frank and I?
I mean, obviously it's going to be Bibbs for the objective free-for-all performance and the fact that last year was just not a good year to be a Bibbs fan just because of how much he lost, but I still stuck in there with the guy. Clark wasn't even on my radar. I was actually going to say Mike Kalinowski because he's his close second for me just because he had a terrible opening game in that triple threat, and it really kind of is the reason probably why he is so massively successful now is because he had to fail that one bad time to really become the kingpin of the league in terms of villainy this year. So I think Mike is a runner-up for me just because of how much he grew since that bad loss at the start of the season. But yeah, Bibbs objectively has this in the bag.
All right, so this one we might debate a little bit about.
Yeah.
Moment of the year. Here are the nominees. Andrew Guy tackles Ben Bateman. Andrew Guy's entrance at Free For All 2. The Five Horsemen revealed. Sam Levine becomes champ. And the Shire Wolves post-interview, We Are the League.
Yeah.
Tim Sims says Andrew Guy tackling Ben Bateman will win. What should win is Sam Levine becomes champ. Frank, what are you going to go with? I want to hear y'all's thoughts before I make my pick.
Okay, this is pretty tough between two of them. As I said last week, the tackle, it's been done before. Different circumstance, different setting. We've seen it. So I cannot give it to the tackle this year. His entrance, he just walked out. I understand the whole switcheroo thing. Compared to these other ones on the list, doesn't stand up to it. The Five Horsemen revealed. That one is a staged moment. It's a great moment. It's a big moment. I love it a lot. Sam Levine becomes double champion. No one's ever been double belted at the same time. That's pretty insane. The We Are the League comment and that whole kind of interview as well. That's you can't script that stuff. You can't script being double belted either. Although We Are the League is a more spontaneous moment that happened in the moment. It wasn't something that was led up to that you could see coming. Like Sam, he's got a shot to be double belted here. Could he do it? Then he does it. So it's not as much as a spontaneous moment as it is a great moment in Schmoedown history. The Shire Wolves did a lot of important things just because of them simply being women and the representation that it's been lacking, and it's really made a lot of progress this year. So We Are the League. That moment has to be number one for me.
Okay, I'm thinking here, Chris. What are your thoughts on this one? The moment of the year. Would you say We Are the League's up there, or do you have a different one?
Can I just say something? Out of these 5 nominations, only 2 of them made me, Frank, and Brienne's list, and both of them were on Frank's list only. But out of these choices, because I honestly think a couple of choices that Brienne has said and that I said are better than some of the choices that were nominated. I would honestly say that I believe full-heartedly in what Frank has said about the post-match interview with We Are the League. It was a great moment, but Sam being double champion kind of eases out for me just because that moment in particular is kind of like a record, a Guinness record. And I feel like the first record that you can get in something as big as this deserves its award. So of these choices, I would say Levine, double champion, edges out the post-match interview for me, but only very slightly. If that makes sense. Yeah.
What Tim says, what should win and will win was the tackle, right?
Oh, yes.
Was that what Tim said? Tim said that.
Who will win was the tackle. Who should win is Sam.
It's Sam. Okay, well, who should win is We Are the League. Who will win? That's
Who will win
probably is the double belted.
I don't agree with either. I think who should win and who will win is the 5 Horsemen reveal. It was such a great moment.
It is.
Watch it on camera. It made me so upset that I wasn't there. That's how cool the moment was.
I think our argument to that was that it was just staged. I think that's why.
I know, but that's unfair. That's like saying, "Oh, there wasn't a great moment in your favorite movie because it was written." Like,
I'm not saying it's not a top 5 moment of the year. I'm just saying it's not the moment.
No, but I'm more responding to Chris's comment here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
okay,
just because it's I know Brienne, I think, echoed the similar sentiment, but it's like things are written and they can still be great moments.
I get it, but
there's a great moment. When Doc sees Marty in Back to the Future 2, after he sends Marty back to the future, he's like, "I just sent you back to the future." Yeah, I'm back. I'm back from the future. And then he faints. It's a great moment. It was written. It was shot like 40 times. They had to edit it. They had to put music to it. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, but I feel like, though, that you're comparing this moment of the year to XX5XX, and it's a high bar to kind of compare that to, since that was so spontaneous.
Okay. XX5XX. All right. I thought you were about to say a rapper's name, and I was going to be very impressed. Match of the year. This is another one that's going to be up for debate, guys, but it might not be. Above the Line, Patriots 2, Clark Wolf versus Sam Levine, Ethan Irwin versus Clark Wolf, Lon Harris versus Ethan Irwin, Mara Knopic versus Rachel Cushing, Corruption versus Founding Fathers, Take the Cannoli and the Self-Righteous Brothers, Team Top That versus Top 10, Who's the Boss versus Shirewolves, William Bibiani versus John Roca. Man,
this
is a deep list. I'll tell you I'll give you like my top 3. I think my top 3 would be, for sure, Who's the Boss versus Shirewolves. I think Mark Knopic versus Rachel Cushing and Clark Wolf versus Sam Levine. That would be my person. Now, I'm saying what would be the match of the year. What do I think is going to win? If I had to pick who should win, Team Top 10 versus Top That for me was just such a great match. And I think I love that it's nominated. I don't think it will win, but that would be like my heart's pick. But I think I'm going to go with Who's the Boss versus Shirewolves. Frank.
Yeah, I mean, there's some crazy matches up here. Lon Harris, I mean, statistically speaking, because that's pretty much how we're looking at it for the most part. Because most of these matches, statistically speaking, are some of the best we've ever seen, aside from the Rachel and Mara one. That was a little bit on the lower end. It's actually like the second least accurate INNERGEEKDOM match of all time, believe it or not.
But it was just still a great match.
Top 10 versus Top That. Right, with the circumstances and it's going to the sudden death. So that supersedes the accuracy. Yeah, totally. That's why it should definitely be on the list. I mean, William Bibiani, John Roca, that's a back and forth heavyweight bout that went on. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the best singles title matches we've ever seen, and we've seen some clunkers. There's been a couple of them, but Above the Line versus the Patriots too. I don't want to forget it because it happened so early on in the year. That's a great finish. Whether or not Above the Line could finally do it in their second go around, that was a great match. But I really do think it has to be the Shirewolves versus Who's the Boss.
Yeah,
that's it. Really. And it's maybe because like the Team League has actually become my more preferred league over the other 3, that when you see that level of competition that we saw at Spectacular, there's nothing like it with that kind of energy, with that's such high skill in the game. It is one of the all-time great matches of all time. And some of these up here, I mean, Ethan Irwin and Lon Harris, that's a highly accurate match. I think it's like the highest accurate match in singles league, or it's like the second one, between two relatively new players. Ethan Irwin, a rookie. Lon, I think it was like his 3rd match ever played or something like that. So that's definitely up there. But man, Shirewolves, Who's the Boss, that is just on another level of intensity. And given everything that was behind it, It
was on a whole nother galaxy. Chris, who do you have as the match of the year, or what do you have?
What we saw at that spectacular live, all three of us, was Who's the Boss versus Shia Wolves. That one,
Yeah.
Between the entrance, between how empowering it was, on top of how neck and neck that entire match was. I think a lot of these are very solid choices. I think the Self-Righteous Brothers versus Take the Cannoli, that match kind of people ignore a little bit, but that is one of the highest scoring matches for a debuting team. For both accounts, and that match was really fun to watch, especially the intro with Hellraiser. But the one match that I wish was on here that isn't is Cody Hall versus Lon Harris. I felt like the crowd and the atmosphere of that entire match just made that match so fun to watch. And I don't think a match of the year should necessarily just be the stats, but how good the atmosphere and the fun of the match really, truly was. And I feel like Cody Hall versus Lon Harris got snubbed, but these are so many solid choices. Again, Bibiani versus Rourke objectively was a great title match too, even though the outcome wasn't that great. But
Yeah, it was.
in the end,
It was
though,
fantastic.
in the end, though, Who's the Boss versus Shia Wolves gets my vote.
And true story. I think at the Cody Hall Lon Harris match, I think everyone at that studio that day was like, "This is already like match of the year candidate," and it didn't even make this list because it's hard to make this list when you look at all these other matches, and given the fact that it was like the second match of the year. So it was incredible.
I think it was. Was it the second match of the year?
It was the first taped. It was the second aired. So there you go.
All right, whatever. You're getting technical on me. But I love the atmosphere of that match. But I'm going to go Who's the Boss and Shire Wolves. It was just, I mean, the tension in the room, and then even the tension in my review was out of the park. It was just out of the park.
It was insane.
Team of the year, above the line, critically acclaimed, the Harris brothers, the Shire Wolves. Who's the boss? The Shire Wolves.
Yeah, foregone conclusion. I mean, we played for it at Spectacular. That was basically, it was come down to Who's the Boss and the Shire Wolves. Sorry, above the line. Sorry, Linus, but they're no longer in the league. They gave it up.
Who's the boss?
Who's the boss? Shire Wolves. Shire Wolves.
Singles Player of the Year: William Bibiani, Ethan Irwin, Sam Levine, John Roca, Clark Wolf. All deserving nominees. You have 4 champions, singles champions on this list. Singles champions this year. 4 singles champions this year. Clark
Thanks
Wolf,
to Sam
of course,
Levine.
yeah, won in tag team, tag gold. But Ethan Irwin.
Yeah. I don't think John Roca should be on that list, to tell you the truth. But
what?
I am picking Ethan Irwin. That's a pretty easy one.
Yeah. Why did John Roca not be on the list?
Because I thought there's a lot of, when you look at his numbers, not the greatest. It kind of deals with the fact with who he had to play and how he got in and how he got to that moment. It was a great match. I mean, he's a completely deserving champion, but I don't know in his whole what's the totality, the package for his singles league play this year compares really to what these other players have done.
He was a champ, though.
Okay.
Chris, who's your singles player of the year?
It's Ethan. I mean, he went through, again, his performance in Free For All. I don't want to repeat myself, but that, and also we kind of skipped over it, but he went through the gauntlet, and he went through everything to get to the top. So, I mean, he really, he was a plow in no man's land, digging everybody's grave except his, and he got to the top. So I think Ethan, I hope that made sense. But no,
and you know what?
Sorry,
Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, but Ethan has us in the bag, though I will give new props again to Clark Wolf, who again she got the belt for teams, and Sam Levine. Though I think he disqualified himself sadly from Player of the Year since he retired. So Ethan,
I agree. Frank, you were going to say something?
Yeah, because like John, he lost a big match against Snyder. He needed to win that, and he lost, and then he got TKO'd, which I'm not a big fan of TKOs, but he did not play great in his title defense. So, I mean, you look at those two things that he did there, that's part of the reason why, but it's also because I love Roca, and it's more of a tough love kind of thing.
All right. Okay. Let's move on to our final category. Player of the Year.
Mamacita.
Mamacita. Ben Bateman, Rachel Cushing, Ethan Irwin, Sam Levine, Clark Wolf. This is tough, guys. This is tough, but there is a clear winner to me. It's tough,
It's tough,
but there's a clear winner. The winner for Player of the Year should be Rachel Cushing. Her play throughout all 3 leagues, having championship opportunities at the singles belt, even though she came up short to get to that stage, takes a really good amount of play. Her performance in teams with Clark Wolf shouldn't be denied. And the fact that she went so deep in that INNERGEEKDOM tournament, it was just one question away from continuing on and probably going against Jason Inman and winning the champion. I mean, I think she would have beaten Mike. In my opinion, I think she would have beaten Mike. She was on such a hot streak.
I don't know, actually, to tell you the truth.
think she
If
would.
I'm being truthful, I don't know, but yeah.
But she was on such a hot streak. And I think that her winning the team championships, doing that 5-0 run, having the best match of the year with Clark Wolf and Who's the Boss. There's so many reasons I think Rachel Cushing should win this category. Tim Sim has Sam Levine will win. I just don't think so. Just don't think so. Frank,
Who does he have as should win?
Rachel.
Rachel should win, and Sam will win. So there's been this raging debate amongst the fans about Sam Levine's status and whether or not it qualifies him to be in to make him Player of the Year, because he retired halfway through the year, even though he went he went undefeated in 2 leagues, double belted. Now, the caveat with him is that he didn't do it in 1 year, in 1 season. Right. He won singles the year before, and then he won teams the next season, this season, or the past season, rather. So people, I think I've seen arguments make, well, he was double belted. He won both championships. Well, he didn't win them both. He defended one and then won one and then obviously defended again. But, had he won them both in 1 year, that would have been a lock. But because of the circumstance he was in already to begin the year, he had to defend, and he did, against Rachel and Clark in singles, which is an insane achievement, even though statistically he actually lost to Rachel. and Clark, took him to sudden death. So it's not like the guy's invincible. He's not. Whereas you look at someone like Ethan Irwin, he kind of has that presence around him. Clark Wolf, for all the reasons you stated, Brad, about Rachel, minus the INNERGEEKDOM, I can say for Clark Wolf. However, with Rachel Cushing, she did not play in the tournament, so we don't know how well she would have played in that tournament. Clark did play in the tournament. We know how far she got. She technically, if you ask me, not technically, but she pretty much beat Ethan Irwin. I mean, pretty much.
Yes.
Even Ethan Irwin was like, oh, yeah, I lost. But because of a simple word, look, she knew the movie, and it's just one of those things. And Ethan is the rightful winner.
He's
Absolutely.
deserving, yes.
Exactly. So this is where, and look, I've been a huge champion of Rachel Cushing and what she's done throughout 3 leagues for a big part of this year. I made a big spiel about it on Twitter and all that stuff, right? They even talked about it on Collider Live, for Christ's sake. I mean, it was a kind of a part of the year where I was really like, after they had won the team belt, I was like, she's got to be in that conversation. I still think she is. But when I look at Clark, man,
she's got a great case.
Got a great case, and it's tough. I'm going Clark Wolf.
Oh, as much as you championed.
As much, but
the Crusher
because had Rachel played just in that tournament and maybe she got a couple more wins, I would have leaned Rachel. But all things almost being equal here between Rachel and Clark, it's so hard to choose. But I think I'm going Clark. Yeah, and also because she did push Sam Levine into sudden death, whereas Rachel didn't have that opportunity to do that, or didn't get that far. There's a lot of splitting hairs here, so I do not make that decision lightly.
Chris,
look, I see all of Frank's points about Clark Wolf. I do, but the fact of the matter is, Rachel Cushing's a triple threat. I mean, she could have, even though she wasn't in that tournament, she was still in the INNERGEEKDOM division.
Clark Wolf was never in the INNERGEEKDOM division, and how Rachel has performed in the INNERGEEKDOM division, in the singles division, and the team division just kind of seems to me like there's no other objective choice for Player of the Year. Now, I know Sam Levine, there's this whole debate about Sam Levine being if he's eligible or not because he retired, but if you're working a job and you leave the job halfway through the year, are you still eligible for Employee of the Year when everybody else was in the job for a year working their ass off when you kind of left and weren't there? So I don't think you would be eligible for that. And I think the same thing applies and should apply to the awards. I think Sam is very talented. He deserved getting double belted, but it was his choice to leave the belts. And it was his choice and his choice alone. And I think that kind of disqualifies him. And I feel like Rachel, just objectively, I even think her absence from the tournament really doesn't have a factor in it for me, just because a tournament is different than being in a separate division with separate questions and separate categories and a separate knowledge base that you have to know. And the fact that Rachel has known that knowledge base on top of everything else leans me towards Rachel. Yeah,
and one thing I'll say about Sam Levine is cutting your season short is you just eliminated the risk of losing. Whereas everybody else on this list basically continued to keep that risk of losing the entire year. Now, I kind of applied the same logic in Rachel's case because she eliminated that risk by not playing in the singles league. So that's kind of where I'm also going with my decision to pick Clark. So when you eliminate the risk of losing halfway through the year, even though you were double belted, who's to say the next defense he lost, and then he goes to the tournament, loses the first round? Guess what? Sam Levine's really not Player of the Year up to that point, you know? And so, I mean, there's like a lot of things that could have happened that we won't know, but we do know for everybody else because they play the whole year and they risk losing the entire year where Sam only, you know, he cut that short.
Yeah.
Was it Rachel's choice to not be in the tournament this year? I might have missed that. Oh,
yeah, it was her choice, yeah.
Never mind. Well, I mean, it's a separate division. It's tough.
No, it is tough, and I wouldn't be mad if Rachel or Clark. I wouldn't even be mad if Sam won. I would get it, but like
he got a double belt, so
yeah, and like that's I get it, but I just think Clark or Rachel are more deserving for the whole year and everything they set themselves up for.
You know, I think it's going to be one of those two. I think it's a coin flip. It really is. You can go either way on it. But I'm going Rachel Cushing. Clark Wolf I can be convinced of. I think, Frank, you made great points, and I'm almost convinced to switch my vote to Clark Wolf. But I'm going to...
I'm telling you what, though. I do think Sam's going to walk away with it, and it's going to be because of the Patreon vote. I think that's what's going to push it over. I really do. And I'm curious.
That is a disgusting act by the Patreon vote. That is a disgusting act. But, you know, hey, if he wins, he wins. If he wins, he wins. What are you going to do?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You can't change it, Frank. If he wins, he wins. It means he deserves it in front of the voter, according to the voters.
Sure.
You know, Mark Rylance was supposed to be, you know, supporting actor of the year or whatever, right?
No, he did win. Instead of Sylvester Stallone. So
I mean, that's what the voters said.
I know. It is what it is.
Best supporting actor.
God, I cannot wait for that moment.
Well, Frank Janisch, you got to get the hell out of here because you got to go right. You got to hop on a plane, get to Los Angeles, California. You got to let us know now if, for some reason, the Schmoedown Rundown wins. Do you have a speech ready?
A little bit. I thought about it a little bit in my head. I don't want to think about it too much because it's like if I think about it too much, write it down. Are you going to FaceTime me? No, I'm not going to do any of that.
You're not going to FaceTime me when our category
No, because you wouldn't do the same for me. So I'm not gonna do anything you wouldn't do for me. That's all. That's all.
I'm tight about that. I'm real tight about that one. I don't appreciate you. But anyway, Frank Janisch, why don't you let the people know where they can find you?
Find me on Twitter and Instagram at FrankieJ29. Occasionally write for TriviaSD.com. We're working on bringing some stats to that site. We're working on a few things. With Bibbs. Hopefully we can get some like legitimate tables of stats up there. So we're working on that. And I also produce a podcast called Distinct Unplug about artists and that occupy the tattoo world. They're not just tattoo artists, but they're artists of paint and sculpture and all that. So if you're into creative conversations, check that out on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, all that stuff.
Chris Clark.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at ChrisClug8788. Those numbers mean nothing. And if you're in the New York area for the live Schmoedown, make sure to check out the fan event on January 24th at Sidewalk Cafe. My band's playing, Alex Marzona is playing, Jay Washington is finishing off the night with stand-up. So make sure to come check it out and bring in the new season with all of us. So, bada bing, bada boom.
And you can find me on all social media at Brad Gilmore. You can go to bradjgilmore.com, find out every things that I'm working on, whether it be my band 2011, my work with Booker T at Reality Wrestling and Heated Conversations, or the Back to the Future, the podcast, or Brad Gilmore Show. Whatever I am doing, you can find it at bradjgilmore.com. You can also find merchandise as well, including the You're an Idiot. It comes from upbringing. Your parents are probably idiots too t-shirt. Now, you can also find us on SD Rundown on Twitter or SD Rundown Stats on Twitter. You can also find us at Schmoedown Rundown on Instagram and Facebook. Shout out to all the viewership on the Movie Trivia Schmoedown page, formerly known as Schmoes Know. Hey, guys, there's still going to be reviews. There's still going to be reviews. Don't worry. There's still going to be reviews. And we will be back next week.
Maybe they should review us. Oh, that would be brutal. Never mind. That's a bad idea.